Hey everyone, and welcome to another video. So today we're doing a update on the Eufy SoloCam S40. So this was a Eufy solar camera that I actually posted a video on when I actually did the unboxing, installation, as well as sort of first impressions. Now the reason I actually have the box and the reason why I haven't posted any update videos is because I've actually been having some issues with the unit itself, and at that time I actually had two Eufy devices that were actually sent out to me for review. One of them was the S40, so the SoloCam S40. The other one was the floodlight camera, the new floodlight camera that they actually released. I'll do a separate video on the floodlight camera itself, but today I want to just concentrate on the S40, and quite a lot of you guys have actually been asking me about how it's performed, whether it can stay charged and everything. And firstly, the reason I actually have it in my hand here and not have it outside is because this one actually became defective. And initially when I installed it, I was kind of concerned at how quickly the battery life actually went down. So I think within the first week, it dropped down to like 20%. Now, I did mention at the time that obviously here in the UK, we don't really get good weather until much later in the year. So I was kind of expecting that to happen. However, what I did find was, despite the fact that it's on the front of my house and we get plenty of daylight throughout the day, it wasn't actually getting direct daylight or direct sunlight covering the whole of the panel. So obviously because of that reason, I was kind of expecting it not to sort of charge up. I think it was after the first month I had to actually take this down and charge it inside because it just completely switched off. It was quite cold still back then, and we were getting some really cold, damp, rainy kind of weather, the usual UK weather that we get most of the year round. But at that point, there was nothing actually wrong with the camera itself, or at least that I could tell. So the port on the back is a much better design. It is very, very strong. It doesn't come out by itself. It's not got that same issue that the Eufy cams had. However, if you look on the front of this camera, and if I just try and cover this corner, what you might be able to notice just here is that one of the LEDs is constantly lit. Now, what I'm going to try is, I'm just going to try and turn it on and actually show you what is actually happening. So I'll just start a screen recording, and what we'll do is we'll come in and we'll just turn this device on. Okay, so it looks like we might be up and running now. Yep, there we go. So if I just turn on the LEDs, apologies if this is too bright, but this is the only way that I can actually show you what is wrong with this. So what you will notice is, firstly, you get these flickering LEDs. Secondly, you've got some portions, so this one here, both of those areas are, it looks like corrosion on the inside, and you can just about see some moisture build up on the inside as well. Now, I can't see any areas around the screen that are actually damaged, so I can't really tell where this moisture has actually come from or how it's got into the camera. Camera's not been dropped. I'm just going to turn that off so then it doesn't give us any issues. Yeah, the camera hasn't been dropped. It's been, apart from the point when I actually took it down, charged it and put it straight back up, it's basically been outside that whole time. Initially I did notice that there's a seam just there that seems kind of strange. Maybe something could have got in from there. But the reason it's taken so long is I actually reached out to Eufy, and because this was a review unit, initially there was some confusion as to whether they were going to actually do anything about it. So as you can see, I've turned the LEDs off, and in fact what I'll do is I'll come in and I'll actually turn the camera off altogether. So right now, as you can see, the camera should be off, but that LED is still lit. And that could be the reason why the battery drain was so bad, because basically the LEDs have never actually fully gone out. There's something inside it that's shorted, and I did reach out to Eufy only recently, to be fair, maybe about a month ago, and it took them a while to actually get to the point where they were willing to actually send out a replacement unit. So I do have a replacement unit outside, and we'll take a look at this sort of energy reproduction or the solar energy production that's actually doing. However, I did actually do a few screen grabs of what we actually had previously. So with this one, I'll put them on screen so you can actually see, but with this one previously, over the 30 days, it was saying that it's produced 147,047 milliamp hours, and the total time of solar charging was 23.7 days. So as you can see from the chart there's been days when it's produced more and there's been days where it's produced less, but you can clearly see that this camera became defective quite a while ago, and it was partly down to my laziness not actually reaching out to them, and it was partly down to the fact that it took Eufy so long. Now, Eufy have asked, or Anker have asked me to actually send this device back, so this one will be going back to them to see what is actually going on with this particular camera, why it's actually had the issue in the first place. Okay, so just coming back in, so as I mentioned, I do have a replacement. The replacement only went up yesterday, so I'm not expecting this to have a lot of information in terms of data, but as you can see, the sort of solar charge, and bear in mind yesterday was kind of overcast, today's been raining pretty much most of the day, so it's not been ideal conditions, but this one, straight away it's actually receiving a charge, whereas when I had this one installed, I think maybe for the first week, maybe 2 weeks, it didn't show anything on these charts. Some of that could be down to the fact that the app just hadn't been updated, so it wasn't actually showing the data, but the weather wasn't great either, so because of that, obviously we did have a few issues with it actually being able to charge up. Now, one thing that I did want to just mention is, as I said at the start of the video, despite the fact that we get a lot of daylight on this side of the house, it's not getting full coverage of the actual solar panel throughout the day. Now that for me means that generally throughout the day, during summer this is going to be okay, but to be perfectly honest, throughout winter I don't think this is going to actually be able to maintain charge if it's in a location where you do have a lot of foot traffic. So that's one of the issues with where this was mounted. There is a lot of foot traffic, there is a lot of sort of detections and things that it's filtering out, and because of that, obviously the battery is being used. On top of that, obviously whenever the floodlights actually come on, the LEDs, it will drain the battery even further, and throughout the night it's not getting that chance to actually replenish the batteries and actually top up anything that it can get from the solar panels. I would say this ideally needs to be in a location where it is getting full coverage all the time throughout the day in order to actually maintain the battery on this. We'll see how it goes with the new one. With this one, obviously it could just be down to the fact that this one was defective right from the start, but this unfortunately is another thing where, despite the fact that Eufy do send me a lot of products, I'm not going to gloss over any defects or any downsides to the products. And this is the third device, or well actually the fourth device, because I had two Eufy cams fail and I had a solar panel that was also defective, and this is now obviously a quite expensive camera that's also failed. Now, where Eufy are really good is generally with their customer service, where they just send out replacements. Generally it's no questions asked and you just send yours back after. This time around I did have to actually make that point that I don't have the original packaging, so I needed them to actually send out a new one so then I could actually use this to send this defective unit back in. However, generally speaking, their customer service is very good. No matter how you reach out to them, whether it's through the app, whether it's just through an email, it normally gets to the right place, and generally, in my experience, they will get a replacement sent out to you within, I would say, two weeks. And if you're in a location where they do have Amazon, then because it's sent out via Amazon, generally it's the next day as soon as the sort of order has been put into process. So for me, even though this took a while to actually get the replacement sent out, because of the confusion with how the purchase was actually done or how the item actually came into my possession, generally what they need is a bill of sale or a receipt essentially. And because I didn't have a receipt, I had to actually show how I actually got the camera, and that's the part where it took a bit longer. If you guys have purchased this from Amazon or anywhere where you've actually got a receipt, then you just send that to them, and generally they'll just send out a replacement if there is a defective item, and they'll just ask for the original item back, so then they can actually do their testing and find out why it's actually failed. So this one, as far as I could see, obviously it's not had any issues with the charging port when I did plug it in. Even yesterday when I've taken this one off, I've fully recharged this, so no issues there. But clearly something went wrong with this camera very early on, and it was just down to the fact that we've had bad weather and I've just not kept on top of it. And every now and then I was going into the app and checking to see how much energy it was producing, but I just assumed it was because of the bad weather. And it wasn't until I actually noticed one day that the LEDs were flickering that I actually took a closer look, and I realized that yeah, all of those units are defective, and basically throughout the night it was staying like this where the light would stay on. So yeah, that's not the update that I wanted to actually do for this product, but that's the update that I've got at the moment. What we'll do is with this current one, the new one that I've installed, after either 1 month or 3 months, depending on what kind of weather we have, I will do a follow-up, and I think 3 months will probably time it just right, because that'll probably be coming towards the time when our weather might be changing a bit and we might be getting some of that darker, gloomier weather that the UK is so famous for, and that'll be a better test in terms of how it actually lasts. Anyway, for those videos, if you haven't already done so, please do subscribe and also hit the notification bell, and I'd really appreciate if you also give this video a thumbs up. And until the next one, thanks very much for watching.